Hello and welcome to the Wordsmith from English Plus podcast, or as you might recall, the Word Power episode. You know, we often look up at the night sky and see a quiet, peaceful expanse of twinkling lights. But imagine for a moment that you are standing on a dusty plateau in ancient Persia, thousands of years ago. The sky isn't just a view, it is a battlefield. It is a dynamic, living canvas where cosmic forces are locked in an eternal struggle. Today, we're going to explore a fascinating narrative, the Persian myth of the Crimson Warrior. It's a story about the planet Mars, or Bahram as it was known, and its role as the fierce protector of the cosmos. But of course, we aren't just here for a bedtime story. We are here to expand your vocabulary as well. Throughout this tale, I have woven in some truly powerful, advanced English words. Words that describe omens, celestial movements, and inexorable forces. So listen closely, let the story wash over you, and try to catch the meanings of these words as they appear. Now, afterwards, of course, we will sit down and chat about them, so don't worry about that. And we're going to do that so you can start using them to add depth and color to your own conversations. Are you ready to enter the fray? Let's begin. I'm Danny, and this is the Wordsmith episode from English Plus Podcast. In the ancient cosmology of Persia, the universe was viewed as a dualistic realm. A place where light and darkness were not merely times of day, but tangible opposing forces. The sky was the vanguard of this cosmic war, the very front line where the border of the stars held back the chaos of the void. Among the many luminaries that traversed the dark dome of the heavens, one stood out with a distinct, unsettling glow: the Crimson Warrior. To the modern eye, we know this wandering star as Mars. But to the ancients, this was the manifestation of Verethranga, or Bahram, the hypostasis of victory and the smiter of resistance. While other stars moved with a calm, rhythmic predictability, the Crimson Warrior was different. Its movement was erratic, sometimes marching forward, sometimes retreating in a strange retrograde dance, as if pacing the ramparts of a fortress. Its light was not the cool silver of the moon or the steady gold of the sun. It burned with a visceral, bloody hue. Legend tells us when the forces of darkness, known as Ahriman, sought to breach the sky and plunge the world into eternal night, they did not attack the sun directly. Instead, they sought to corrupt the constellations, the fixed stars that acted as the soldiers of light. The Crimson Warrior was the harbinger of their defeat. He was the great intercessor, the general who did not hold a fixed post but roamed the battlefield of the zodiac, rushing to wherever the defenses were weakest. There's a specific tale of a cataclysmic alignment, a time when the dark planets, forces of deception, conspired to eclipse the royal star of the summer solstice. The people below watched in terror as the sky seemed to darken, an ominous shadow creeping across the heavens. It felt as if the epoch of light was ending. The harmony of the spheres was disrupted, replaced by a dissonant resonance that unsettled the souls of all living things. It was then that the Crimson Warrior flared to his zenith. In the myth, Bahram did not fight with a sword of iron, but with a weapon forged from pure, ethereal fire. He descended upon the encroaching shadows with inexorable force. The battle was silent to the ears of men, but visible to their eyes. As the red star drew closer to the dark intruders, the sky seemed to bleed light. This was not a graceful duel. It was a brutal, chaotic scramble for dominance. The Crimson Warrior was formidable, relentless in his pursuit, embodying the raw, unchecked energy of war essential for survival. He shattered the formation of the dark entities, scattering them back into the void. The redness of the planet, the myth explains, is the eternal stain of this combat, a reminder of the violence required to maintain peace. His victory was not ephemeral. It secured the order of the seasons for another age. However, the ancients knew that the warrior never sleeps. He remains in a state of perpetual vigilance. When we see Mars glowing bright and red in the night sky, it is not merely a planet reflecting the sun. It is the Crimson Warrior, donning his armor once more, signaling that the valor of the light is ready to challenge the darkness yet again. Well, this was quite a dramatic journey, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed that visualization, but now let's shift gears. I want to talk to you about the language I used there. Now, we're going to walk through these words so you can really get a feel for how they work in context and how you might use them in your own life. Now, let's start with the word celestial. Celestial, celestial. Now, I used this early on to describe the movements in the sky. When we say something is celestial, we are literally talking about the sky or the heavens, usually in an astronomical or spiritual sense. In the story, the celestial movements were the movements of the stars. But you can use this in everyday English to describe something that feels incredibly beautiful or perfect, almost heavenly. For example, if you eat a dessert that is absolutely amazing, you might jokingly say, "This chocolate cake is a celestial experience." This elevates the description. So, that was celestial, my friends. Next, I talked about vanguard. I mentioned the sky was the vanguard of the war. Vanguard, vanguard. Now, this is a military term originally. The vanguard is the foremost part of an advancing army or force, the people at the very front. In a business context or in technology, you hear this word a lot. You might say, this company is at the vanguard of artificial intelligence research. It means they are leading the way. They are the pioneers. If you want to describe yourself as a leader in your field, you could say you are part of the vanguard of that industry. So that's vanguard. I also referred to the planet Mars as the manifestation of a god. manifestation, manifestation. Now, to manifest means to show something clearly or to make something theoretical become real and physical. So a manifestation is the physical embodiment of an abstract idea. In the story, the god was an idea, but the planet was the physical thing you could see, the manifestation. In your life, you might talk about stress. If you are stressed at work and suddenly you get a headache, well, that headache is a physical manifestation of your stress. It's a great word for connecting internal feelings to external realities. Now, moving on, I described the light of Mars as visceral. Visceral, visceral. Well, this is a fantastic word. It comes from viscera, which means your internal organs or your guts. So if something is visceral, it is felt deep in the body. It is not intellectual, it's emotional and raw. A visceral reaction is when you react from your gut, maybe with fear or excitement, before you even have a chance to think. If you watch a scary movie and jump, well, that's a visceral reaction. All right, so that's about visceral. We also talked about the Crimson Warrior being a harbinger of defeat for the darkness. Harbinger, harbinger. A harbinger is a person or thing that announces or signals the approach of another. It's usually used for things that are a bit serious or significant. For example, clouds can be a harbinger of a storm. In economics, a drop in stock prices might be a harbinger of a recession. Right? It is a poetic way to say a sign of things to come. Harbinger. And now let's talk about cataclysmic. There was a moment in the story describing a cataclysmic alignment. Cataclysmic, cataclysmic. Now, cataclysmic comes from cataclysm, which is a violent upheaval or disaster. Now, we use this for huge, world-changing events like earthquakes or floods. But you can also use it hyperbolically. If your computer crashes and you lose all your work, you might tell your friend, "I had a cataclysmic failure with my laptop today." It emphasizes the scale of the disaster. So that is about cataclysmic, my friends. I also mentioned an ominous shadow. O-M-I-N-O-U-S, ominous. Now, ominous means giving the impression that something bad or unpleasant is going to happen. It's threatening. If you walk into a meeting and your boss is sitting there in total silence with a serious face, that is an ominous sign. It sets a mood of suspense and worry. That's ominous. Then we spoke about an epoch. E-P-O-C-H, epoch. An epoch is a period of time in history or a person's life, typically marked by notable events or particular characteristics. In the story, it was the epoch of light. In real life, you might say that moving to a new country marked a new epoch in your life. It sounds much grander and more significant than just saying a new chapter. All right, that was about epoch. I also used the word resonance to describe the feeling of the universe. R-E-S-O-N-A-N-C-E, resonance. Now, resonance literally means the quality of a sound being deep, full, and reverberating. But metaphorically, we use it to describe when something strikes a chord with us emotionally. If a speech has resonance, it means it matters to people. It sticks with them. You might say, for example, her presentation had a lot of emotional resonance for the audience. So that's resonance. We also have the word ethereal. We describe the warrior's fire as ethereal. E-T-H-E-R-E-A-L. Ethereal. Ethereal refers to something that is extremely delicate and light in a way that seems too perfect for this world. It's often used to describe beauty. A model might have ethereal beauty, or a piece of music might sound ethereal, ghostly and lovely. In the story, it meant the fire wasn't earthly, it was spiritual. So that's ethereal. There's also inexorable. The warrior moved with inexorable force. I-N-E-X-O-R-A-B-L-E, inexorable. Well, this is a strong word. Inexorable means impossible to stop or prevent. It's like a slow-moving tank or the flow of time. You cannot stop it. You might say the inexorable rise of technology. It implies a sense of destiny or inevitability. So that's inexorable, my friends. Next, we have formidable. We called the warrior formidable. F-O-R-M-I-D-A-B-L-E. Formidable. If someone is formidable, they inspire fear or respect through being impressively large, powerful, intense, or capable. A formidable opponent in sports is one that is very hard to beat. If you have a big project ahead of you, you can call it a formidable task. It acknowledges the difficulty and the respect the task commands. We also talked about ephemeral. I mentioned the victory was not ephemeral. E-P-H-E-M-E-R-A-L, ephemeral. Ephemeral is the opposite of eternal. It means lasting for a very short time. Now, bubbles, for example, are ephemeral. Smoke is ephemeral. Fashion trends are often ephemeral. If you want to appreciate a sunset, you might say, for example, we have to watch this now because its beauty is ephemeral. It adds a sense of urgency and appreciation for the moment. Ephemeral. And finally, we talked about valor. V-A-L-O-R, valor. Now, valor is great courage in the face of danger, especially in battle. It's an old-fashioned word, but it carries a lot of weight. While you might not use it to describe buying groceries, you might use it to describe firefighters or doctors working in dangerous zones. You can say they acted with great valor. So, We have journeyed from the dusty plateaus of ancient Persia to the forefront of modern English vocabulary. We've seen how words like vanguard, inexorable, and ephemeral can paint a picture that is both epic and precise. Now, here's what I would like you to do next. Pick just one of these words, maybe visceral or formidable, and try to use it in a conversation or an email today. Watch how it changes the tone of your message. It adds a layer of sophistication and precision that basic vocabulary just can't match. Well, that was everything for today. Thank you for exploring the stars with me today. Until next time, keep looking up and keep learning. I'm Danny, and that was the Wordsmith episode from English Plus Podcast. Thank you for listening. I'll see you again next time.